Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll. And tonight, I'm joined by my very good friends. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy. And we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shamato. Boys, we're here back again on the pod to review Andor Season 2. Another 3-episode drop, episodes 4, 5, and 6. But before we get into that, how y'all feeling?
Doing all right, man. Yeah, doing all right. Yeah. I mean, it's been a busy week for sure with these 3-episode Andor drops.
Yeah, they're sure they really are trying to kill us.
And a major Marvel release for movies.
Yeah.
So it's been fun. It's been wild.
Amato, how you feeling?
I mean, I'm feeling good. I've actually feel like I've been doing better than I was expecting to do. And finishing this episode
with Andor.
Yeah, like I was done like halfway through Wednesday with like all 3 episodes.
See, if I had like a normal life, I'd like to do like it comes out on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, and then talk about it on Friday.
Yeah. But no.
That has not happened
You're
yet.
cramming on Friday.
I'm watching all 3 on Friday because my life is chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, actually this week I did get 1 in on Thursday.
Amen to that, brother.
And 2 today. So, yeah, big shout out to everybody who's tuned in and listening. Excuse me. We really appreciate you. We want to remind you to please subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and to be sure to share this podcast with your friends, okay? You got any Andor Star Wars friends of yours, share this podcast with them. Helps us out a lot. Here's your spoiler warning for episodes 4, 5, and 6, which is Ever Been to Gorman? ? And then I Have Friends Everywhere. And then finally, episode 6, What a Festive Evening. So, I guess these are all 3 quotes from those episodes.
Yeah. All of those were, especially the I Have Friends Everywhere.
Yeah.
Like that was like literally
Multiple times,
the code word
Code.
that they used, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. I always love a good espionage where they like say random phrases just to acknowledge the fact that you're in espionage. Like it's fun.
I know, I totally agree. I like that vibe. I like the vibe of all 3 of these episodes. And here is the spoiler warning for episodes 4, 5, and 6. I loved it. How did you guys feel about it?
yeah, fantastic. And there's nothing more to say, man. That's it. Like
Yeah.
I feel like
Good
we're done.
God.
Yeah, I mean, like breaking it down, I thought like I was not expecting. I was a little worried about the fact that how much they were talking about Gorman in 1, 2, and 3, and then like them actually going there in these 3 episodes. But it was some phenomenal. Like it was really an interesting storyline.
Am I wrong for saying that every episode has gotten better than the previous? Like I feel like every episode has been better and
Building and building.
yeah, building and building and building, and it has not fallen flat yet. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like.
I think kind of it's actually almost been more like one. The way they've been structuring them like 1, 2, then 3. I feel like they've gotten better. So like 3, I think was better than 2, was better than 1, and I think 4 was, and then 4, 5, 6. It's been building up to the quality of them.
Yeah, I think Andor does something that a lot of shows attempt and fail at, and it's like building the intensity.
Yeah,
There's these episodes are so intense. Like you feel the stakes because we know the outcome, right? We know where they are building to, and we know their end game, right? But and so the build to that is existential, dude. Like you feel every inch of it.
honestly, I don't know if I ever was like, you know what I thought was going to be great at building tension. Star Wars, I legitimately I never really expected that to be something that they were super like adept at.
Yeah. It's such a plus to know where the outcome. Like
I guess so. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like it's weird because normally we're like, oh yeah, I know the ending of that already. Like I read the last chapter, I already know the ending. Like you're fine, but no, I know what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm still like on the edge of my seat every single time. Like it's so good, man.
Yeah. Well, you know that one guy in particular survives everything, but aside from that, we don't really know what happens.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
don't know anything about what happens in Gorman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you?
No, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to break this down because there was quite a bit that happened, but like, what was the outcome of these events? Like, what's gonna lead from it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like interesting things that can be coming out of this.
Yeah.
So let's start here. Again, this is the second 3-episode block. right?
Yes.
It is
Yes.
1 year after the events of the first 3 episodes.
Yes.
Which was 1 year after the end of the first
Right.
season.
And we've been
Yes.
told, or we theorized that every 3-episode block is a year, right?
I believe so because this episode block is 3 years before Yavin, and because that's what they
They
stated at the
told us
beginning
the,
of.
like BBY.
Yeah, they
3,
actually gave
right?
us BBY 3. So I'm assuming next one will be BBY 2, and then BBY 1. And
It's like 80 and
yeah, it's like 80,
BC.
yes,
Yeah.
in our time, or in the real world. So I think that's kind of how it's going to play out, to where like each is kind of like you're getting this slow step to
Okay.
how we got to these moments in the regular Star Wars canon.
This one felt like when episode 3 ended, it was like, okay, this kind of feels like the clear end to this block. This episode, to me, when episode 3 ended, I was like, I feel
The
like they could.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I feel like they could pick it up like the next
right after.
day.
Yeah. There was a lot. I felt like there was some resolution that needed to happen, especially like when Cassian's leaving with Bix. I'm like, okay, they got to regroup. They got to. I mean, Andor's got to finish his mission. Like, I don't know what his mission was. He stole the ship, but what was the ship for? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of question marks in between there. But instead, they like fast forward. They're like dealing with the fallout of that, and like they're in a safe house now, and they're kind of living a normal life. Like it's weird.
Going to the shop.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Andor's still kind of going on missions, but Bix is essentially almost on house arrest in a way, like to where like I don't think Andor wants her to go out on her own, and when
Luthen doesn't either.
Luthen, when he sees her, definitely doesn't.
Yeah.
Now I do have some ideas about that interaction as well, but and what were the true meanings of everything that was going on there. But it definitely feels like Bix is essentially like caged in, and she is a drug addict. So
Yeah.
She's having her night terrors.
Yes.
Right.
Which rightly so. Like, I mean, she was traumatized and tortured
in her
and,
mind
yes.
too. Whatever.
and you think it's been a year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
been
a
she's
full
still,
year, and she's still-
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, so much happening.
I know last week we kind of went storyline. I don't know if we want to keep that trend going.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. All right, good.
Let's see. So, we should probably be more prepared. We just kind of hit record.
That's what we do every week, fellas.
What
So-
storyline do you want to talk on first?
I say we start with like the most encapsulated in itself, and go straight for like the characters that we have like the least connection to. I'd say Saul and Willman. Like just knock that out, little itty bitty storyline out first.
Okay.
And
yeah.
although I think it has important stuff that is going to be related to it, of course, but I think knocking it out will be good.
So I'm assuming Luthen sends Willman here, right? Is that a fair assumption? You think Luthen / Andor, because he was with them when they left.
Yeah,
I think
right.
I think they did,
Yeah.
and he obviously has this device that he apparently knows how to use, and it seems like it's a lock of some sort, it almost seems like an advanced pick lock, almost.
Yeah, basically.
That he's dealing with, and essentially he's on a pseudo rebel base, which I think honestly, from looking at it, it reminded me of the same rebel base that like Poe is on in the sequel trilogy. It very much reminded me of the same like base that they used then, like the one that Poe comes back to, and where we actually finally see like Leia or Carrie Fisher's real daughter. You see her on that base and like stuff like that. It looked a lot like that base.
Yeah, no, there's definitely similarities there for sure. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
but it definitely looked similar
Yes,
to that.
very,
yes.
very similar. Whether it is or not, I don't know. But
Yeah.
it just
But
like
yeah, Saw was there.
Yes.
and
Which is cool to see.
yeah, which I mean, Forrest Whitaker like doesn't miss a beat.
yeah,
Like,
he is. Yeah,
he is in character, and even like the first interaction with him was so intense, man.
Yes.
Like he's already established himself, obviously, from his animated character into this real like live action character. And like he has established himself like a name for himself. Like he's
Yes.
ruthless. He is like Willman is like scared. Like
Very
he's
scared,
terrified.
very much so.
He's so terrified. and he's tasked with training some guy to run a sequence in order to release a virus. We learn, right? Is that how you took it? Right, a biological
Yeah, it's
sort
like
of weapon, or
or
I
I
thought it
think
was
it's a
fuel.
gas
I thought
or
it was-
gas? Yeah, okay.
yeah, like it's something that you use either
Some sort of like gas or vapors, but
Yes.
like they're poisonous for people. Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yes.
shouldn't inhale it.
Yes.
yes, you shouldn't inhale it, but it is there for it's useful in some form or fashion.
Yes,
I don't think it's just like straight up like, oh, we're just gonna kill people with it type of stuff. Um, anyway, and Wilman's kind of under the assumption that he's going to just teach the guy
And move on
be
with his
able-
life,
or
yeah.
just be like, hey, here, take it. And he's like, no, you're gonna stay
You're
here.
gonna stay here until we do our first
Yes.
mission.
Like I got to make sure this guy is like ready to go.
Right.
That he's handpicked, and you kind of see him just like training this dude, and this is the first time we've really seen like Willman be useful
right.
in a way, like because honestly, like I definitely feel like he's the entire reason why Brasso died. Like
True.
like
honestly, yeah.
Like, he's
There's
the
got to be some sort of weight to that.
like
action.
yeah, like honestly, because like a great character, like a great man died to essentially keep this kid safe.
Exactly.
So he's got to kind of earn it a little bit, I think, in his mind. And honestly, like Saw makes Luthen look like he's stable and
Yeah.
well balanced,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just so like he almost reminds me of like a more off the wall Rafiki from like Lion King, like in a way, like
Oh man, that's the only like analogy you can get from the World Geek podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
but yeah, like he's just like this insane, like over the top kind of person, just super menacing. And we get to this, this moment where the guys, essentially, the guy that he's training essentially goes up to Saul and he's just like, if you're just telling me where we're going, I can like narrow down the sequence because it seems like there are like dozens of sequences that it could be.
Yeah, he had to memorize everything.
And he has to memorize everything. He's like, oh, just if you can get it down to one for me, I know I can do this.
Critical error, as
Yes.
we learn later, right?
Yes.
Saw ends up killing this dude, offing this
Yes.
dude in front of Willman, just after. And I think I'm trying to think because that guy's name was it Rudy or something like that.
I don't know. Rusty, maybe. I don't know.
No, I don't
it was.
think so.
I don't know what it was.
Anyways, he
Pointless,
kills him.
yeah.
Well, when he was asking Saw for which,
Information. Where are we going?
yeah, where are we going?
Yeah.
He said, well, we could just, Saw's like, well, we'll just kill Willman, and the guy was like, no, let's not do that. And I think that's because he wasn't really confident.
Yeah.
Not at all. And
No.
he used that lack of confidence as a play to get information. And he's like, I'd be more confident if you
Right.
told me what we're doing
but
and
it
where
also,
we're going.
but that's
Yeah.
my point. It also, I think it gave Saw more
Clarity on his
clarity, like this guy's a mole.
yes.
Yeah.
And that was, dude, when he was taking the gun out and pointing it at Willman, and then he shot the guy next. I was like, holy crap! Like that
Yeah.
just went down right there.
Yeah, the
and-
way the music
yeah.
was playing, like the intense is like, oh, he's getting shot, and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
then-
Oh yeah.
Then they just pivoted pretty well. So, yeah, and then they end up going to wherever they're going,
Right.
and Willman succeeds, but it looks like Saw kind of radicalizes this guy.
Correct.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Oh, that was it was such a weird scene, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, and the monologue that Saw was given, I was like, dude, let the guy focus. This is dangerous.
I honestly like paused for a minute and I was like, he probably should focus right now. If this is such a big deal where you
Yeah.
literally killed a guy for like,
yeah,
you should probably let this Willman work peacefully. He's sweating,
Yeah.
like
stressed out,
yeah, stressed out, and even like his last little like turn, his last little click, he was like
nervous.
Like he's like, did I do this right? Because
Yeah.
he's talking this whole time. Maybe he distracted me. That kind of thing.
Yeah. The way I kind of saw it was it's almost like Saw was like it's like the moment when it's almost like he was in the room that has the drug you want. And you can see it. You haven't been able to get your hands on it quite yet, but you see it. And I think that's kind of where he's at because he goes through this whole story about how he had been affected by this drug or this gas and what it was doing to him. And I think it's essentially like he's almost like anticipating his own high in a moment, like in this moment, and like he's talking about it. And I think that's kind of what ends up happening to Willman at the end is he
Yeah.
ends up, giving into because of course Saw doesn't have a mask on at all,
Yeah.
so he's obviously being affected by whatever's going on here too.
Yeah, but he like goes right to the source. Willman's like, "What are you doing? You crazy?"
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Willman seems like he is now with Saw. That's what
Yes.
that's what we're led to believe based on.
And it seems like either he overindulged on whatever this is, and that's how he gets the apparatus that he has later, or that apparatus is literally just
More
that
of that.
drug.
Yeah.
Yeah,
ooh,
so-
that's
yeah.
actually a better. Ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah, because my original thought was the first thing you said, but that's a good thought, Shimano.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other storylines. Should we do maybe Mon Mothma next?
Yeah, because she was very small.
It was
and
smaller.
yeah.
So the context is the big storyline is Gorman, which we're going to get to. Like there's a lot of things happening on Gorman,
yeah.
but at the same time, Mothma is working her. Well, she's trying to work her magic, but she is struggling on the Senate side of things.
She's
Yes.
trying to whip some votes
She's
in
lobbying.
her favor. Yeah, lobbying like crazy, and it's not going well at
No.
all.
Dude, so poorly that it looks. I'm led to believe the first guy she was talking to, which they cut back to that scene a couple times. His name was Darcy. Is actually a representative from Gorman, like a senator from Gorman, because he kept talking about my people,
That's true. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even he is like, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna stand with you.
Correct. Yeah.
Like they are so afraid to ruffle any feathers.
Yeah.
And especially with the situation that's going on, Gorman, right now, where the Empire's moving. There's stuff going on, Gorman,
Yeah.
that involves the Empire, and he literally said like, I'm not going to like kind of ruffle the Emperor's feathers right now. Like it's
Yeah.
not something that is wise to
Go
do.
against
Yes.
the emperor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think at this point, it's like they don't completely understand what's going on in like the sense of like what his end game
Yeah.
is. I think they're just seeing it
Well-
as he's a powerful political figure at this moment.
Yeah. Well, even after these 3 episodes, I don't think we all understand what's going on in Gorman right now. So like it's, but yes, like
I mean, I have an idea what's happening.
yeah, yes,
But-
Well, Krennic said in the first block of episodes that it's of great importance to the emperor.
correct, yes.
I don't even know if he said the empire.
No, you're right. He
the
said emperor. Yeah,
Yes.
personal. He said like this is like personal. Like,
Yeah, which that's like no one else knew about it.
right.
Hence why even the ISB doesn't know what's going on with. We'll talk about it later. What
Yeah.
Cyril's doing,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Amano, do you want to talk about whatever theory that is right now, or you're trying to save that for later?
I think you have 2 theories, but
Okay. We'll wait. We'll wait a little
Okay,
longer.
okay. Good.
Yeah,
We're not there
'cause,
yet. We're not there yet.
one has to do with Cyril and one has to do with something else. So we,
great.
we can wait on that. But yeah, like with Mon Mothma, and she's trying to whip up votes, and it doesn't seem like he's going particularly well. It seems like a lot of people in the Senate right now are kind of like just being a little bit complacent, kind of just giving up their
I think they're all trying to keep their heads down.
yeah.
yeah, and I think they're kind of waiting to see like how far this will actually go. Like I feel like
Yeah.
they don't think the Emperor's going to go too far.
Yeah,
Like
they
think,
still think he's rational. I think,
right.
at this
Correct. They think he's still like that Senator Palpatine that they've seen before. Like they think he's in between there somewhere, and
Yeah.
he's not fully like
He's not full Hitler
yes,
yet.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
essentially.
Gorman is Poland.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's kind of where I feel like we're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I think that's kind of where we're at, and then later on we get to see a young version of Bail Organa, and
Yes.
which
I'm
we
a little
couldn't get
worried.
Jimmy Smits in this.
Like,
we couldn't do this.
yeah, like the only
We get Benjamin Pratt.
I have I have some ideas about that. I don't know if are they trying to set something up for maybe another series
Mhm.
in this moment, or honestly, in my mind, there are 2 like pathways for this. Number one, that's the only time we're going to see him in the entire series.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's a terrible recast if that's what they were doing. And the second one is, are they going to use him more? And I think I'm a little more okay
I think
if
they
they
are
are going to use
recast,
him
yeah.
more later on. If they want him to be a little bit more involved in what's going on, But it is weird that only like 2 years ago they were like, yeah, it's cool for you to play Bail Organa, Jimmy Smits, in a role where you're like 15 years younger
Yeah.
than you are in this moment. But no, it's no longer cool for you to be Bail Organa at this age. We got to go younger.
I feel like we deep dive. I think Jimmy Smits was just like, I would love to do it, but I have
Just
some
kinda
other
past it.
obligations.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
He might just be like,
Yeah.
just kind of past it.
What
Yeah.
other
Even
obligations does
Star
Jimmy
Wars.
Smits
Yeah.
have?
Exactly. I don't
Like,
know.
honestly, like,
I don't know. I haven't seen
is he
it.
the new Dexter? Who knows?
Maybe. You never know.
So Mothma's struggling to get support.
Yeah.
We do get another scene where she is like we actually get the Senate Hall or whatever that's called.
Yes.
Which is always cool to look at.
It
like
is.
I always
It
always
is.
look at that. I'm like, man, that would be wild to stand in if that was
Yeah.
like, real. You know?
Yeah.
It's a house of one of my favorite lines from the prequel trilogy.
Which is
Let's hear it. I can't
Oh,
read.
this is how democracy ends with thunderous applause.
Yes,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. That's true. That is a good scene. Imagine being the person speaking and being in the middle of all that. That's
Yeah.
just oof,
Right.
so much.
Yeah, you have to have so much charisma on stage
Yeah.
right there to be like a really good senator.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we don't get much else from Mothma until the party, right?
Which
Yes.
we can wait
Well,
until we
hold
get
off
to
for
Yeah,
that
I
one,
say we
that's
we
kind of
push
like
that
a
in more.
intersection between a few characters
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the whole storyline of Andor and Bix.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because that storyline we can kind of like bring everything else
Yeah.
till the end.
First thing, their hideout, their safe house is on Coruscant.
Yes. The most populated
Quite interesting,
city.
right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's one of those ideas of almost like hiding in plain sight. You know.
Yeah. No.
It's like you're literally there. It's like it's a planet that the entire thing is a city essentially. That's
Right.
what Coruscant is.
But like Andor is still kind of like covering his tracks, like he's
Yes.
covering his face. But we see the interaction with them just kind of going out to the grocery store, essentially, right? Like,
Yeah.
Bix wants to get out of the house. She's stir crazy, that kind of thing, and just him looking around at all the cameras and just trying to like track the exits and stuff. And they just do a simple grocery outing, and
Yeah.
it's not that simple because the guy's like, oh, I thought I'd never see you again, that kind of thing, and then immediately triggers Andor like, okay, we can never come back here again.
Yeah,
Like he's
exactly.
immediately in
Yeah.
like paranoia mode.
Yeah,
Like,
he's
what-
super paranoid.
Yes, he is paranoid, but also in a way, it almost kind of like fuels this idea that although the Emperor and the Empire projects like this idea of like all powerful,
Yeah.
there's still space for people to hide. He does not have as much complete power as he likes to project that he
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, but
Good point.
But still, at the end of the day, you like Andor. You got to realize, like, okay, I'm dating Bix. Like, she's very memorable. Like, you can't be too oh, we can't be so wide open. Like, you're gonna remember Bix and who she is. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just dumb.
Take your love goggles off, Justin.
Yes.
Take your love goggles off.
I mean,
help it
are we gonna
sometimes,
have
yeah.
are we gonna have to have like Bix and like Florence Pugh fight it out for you?
Ooh, I think you might have
Wow.
to. Yeah, you're gonna get some love on the next podcast. So yeah. But anyway, listen to that episode. But anyway, yeah, great idea. Great idea.
So, anyways, they're hiding out, and Bix is still struggling with her night terrors, with her
Yeah.
visions,
Mm.
sleepwalking, all of it, right?
And at the perfect time, Andor gets a mission during all that, like her struggles. Like,
yeah.
leave her alone for a little bit.
Yes, Andor, has that. And while Andor is off on this mission, she gets a meeting with Luthen.
Ooh.
And I think,
I read into this way more than actually came from it. Like, I think you and me both kind of read.
yeah,
into
I
that
mean,
a
like,
whole
yeah,
lot.
I actually texted Justin and I was like, we were pretty much,
in sync with this.
Well, then share. I have no idea
Yeah,
what you're trying to
so,
say.
like, Luthen came in and he's like talking to her about a potential, like, he's gauging her and see if he can trust her with a mission.
yeah,
And then he finds her drugs and he touches them. You see him touch the drugs, right?
yes,
And then he realizes that, okay, she's not fit for duty, right? And so like she leaves. But the whole time this scene is going on, I'm like, he just tried to give Andor a mission, and Andor was trying not to leave Bix because he was so connected to Bix, right? So
Yeah.
Luthen's mind, as the marionette string puller
Yeah.
of the rebellion that he is, Bix is a liability because she's keeping Andor from completing missions or starting missions or doing key
it's
things.
partially that. I think it's also Luthen wanted to see Bix without him around to see where she was
Her
at.
state of mind. Yeah,
Or
no,
he-
it was definitely too
Because he is her support person at the moment, and she might be able to play more
Yeah,
like less damaged if he is around.
correct.
So I think there's that. I also think in a way I don't know how real the mission that he was going to give her was. Honestly,
I think I think the
I-
majority of it was gauging her.
yeah, it was really just to
mentality.
see where she was at the moment.
But because he touched the drugs and he left, and we saw her laying on the bed with the drugs were still in her hand. I
Yeah.
honestly thought he poisoned the drugs and took Bix out of the picture so Andor wouldn't have to focus on her anymore,
Yeah.
and he can do these missions.
Yeah,
I
or
was
like
After episode 5, I was like, she's dead.
I
She's
was
gone.
obviously either that or just at the very least, I was expecting to have OD'd by episode 6,
Yeah.
like by the end.
Yeah. But instead, she does not OD, and
does
she's
not.
alive. But for a brief moment there, it was a day between the episodes, and I was like, dang, man, they killed my girl.
Yeah.
They killed my girl.
I think we were both like, she's not
Yeah.
gonna make it much longer.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
obviously,
of course she isn't, but
but obviously that's not what happened. She's alive
Yeah,
and well.
correct, yes.
The beacon light goes off again. They have a new mission,
Yep.
and we learn what it is at the very end of episode 6.
but let's why don't we follow like the timeline and maybe go to where like do Andor's trip to Gorman?
Sure.
Should we
Because-
finish Bix? Or
I mean,
it's like she's very separate from Andor. I think.
okay, we can finish.
I think, don't you think? Or no?
Yeah, yeah,
She's
'cause
got a whole lot going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
because we're going to talk about
Yeah.
Gorman with Andor's involvement.
Andor, and then Cyril
Alright.
will piggyback off that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, anyways, when Andor confronts Luthen at his shop,
Yeah, about why did you
which dude, when he did that, I was like,
That was
yo,
critical,
Yeah.
dude. He nearly spoiled the
Like, if
entire
it- if-
operation.
if this wasn't Andor, Luthen might have him killed.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
yeah,
much so.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
He's,
agree.
he's jeopardizing his whole front.
Yeah.
And Luthen tried to play it off too, like
Thank you for the medallion.
Yeah, medallion. Like he's still like putting on a show.
Yes.
He's
He's
got a
like,
wig on
oh,
still.
thank you for bringing this to me.
All-
like,
for coming all the way down
Yes.
here is so kind of you.
But they literally have cameras searching for Andor at all times.
he doesn't
Like,
have a hood
yeah,
on.
no hood
like-
on.
yeah.
yeah,
So, anyways, Andor is like, he's mad.
yeah.
And I took the last mission to kill Dr. Gorst
Yeah.
as Luthen giving that to Andor and Bix to say, "Hey,
Get your
I
mind right.
I got you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so kind of the opposite of that theory that you mentioned. It's like,
Mhm.
I'm going to take Bix out. It's like, no, I think he was actually like, let's
He's-
get Bix back.
He's
in.
stronger with Bix.
yes.
Yes, that's good.
They're stronger together,
Yes.
and I think this will motivate her and get her back, her mind right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or at the very least, like to the point to where like we know where we stand with her.
right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, she was such a badass in these scenes, man. Like,
It's just
she,
nuts.
dude, she catches him in an elevator, like
Yeah.
gets him into the chair, and he's like, "What are you gonna do to me?" And she's like, says the same exact line that
she's
he
like,
says. to
she's
her-
like, don't
her.
worry, it'll only feel like forever.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, like what you were saying about the Empire or the Emperor, it's like this happened in Coruscant. Like they just show up,
Mm.
and for the sake-
Government building.
yeah, in the government building, one security guard in that whole
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah, and he's like, "You shouldn't be here." Then
Yeah.
she blasts him.
I know.
and, dude. I don't know. And then they both walk out together.
Yeah, and then like you just show to what you were saying, like they're stronger together, like the look they give each other as they're walking away,
Mm.
and they blow up the level
Dude.
of that.
Cool slow mo.
Yeah.
like, walk away.
Like you're like
Mic drop kinda
honestly,
thing.
like if you after episode 5, how Bix would have been at the end of episode 6 could not have been different from what I thought she was going to be.
Correct. Yeah, I thought she
Like-
was going to be a hindrance to Andor as far as like
At-
struggling to
at best.
maintain humanity.
At
that
best,
kind of thing.
I was
yeah.
thinking that at worst she's drooling, like literally just like
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
But
Now
no,
she's
she looks
pretty fierce, and
alive.
I'm actually excited to see where she goes. But on that note, like I think Shimano and I are on the same page here. Is like we saw Rogue One.
Yeah.
Didn't see Biggs. So like,
Like
how
I
much
think-
longer does Biggs have left?
Honestly, I don't think she has a whole lot left because I think essentially what has to happen is she has to die and K2SO kind of has to take her place, like
As a
in his
companion,
like
yeah.
companion place. I think, and there has to be time to build a little bit of that
Yeah,
relationship.
you're right. We're halfway through the season. We haven't got K2SO yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think the very next episode's gonna have him. I
next
think.
block.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Yeah. So, all right. Transition.
Gorman.
Gorman,
Where do we
baby.
even start?
Dude. What?
Maybe Cyril. Is Cyril the first? Him walk into his office the first day?
Do
Was
we,
that the first time we saw Gorman in this block?
do we want to do Andor's part and then just kind of like run the rest of Gorman? Because I feel like
yeah,
Andor's part's
Andor's-
almost separate from everyone else's.
It was in and out and more information.
Yeah, but it flows in the whole storyline. If you're talking about the storyline of just the rebellion, Andor's part fits nestled in there.
That's true. That's true.
We can do that.
yeah.
Sure.
So let's do that. Cyril's there, and I'm like, what is he doing there? You know?
Yeah. There's conversations like with his mom about his relationship
Yes.
with Daedra. It didn't work
Dude,
out.
I actually rewatched episode 4 because I
Yeah.
was like, I loved it.
Yeah.
I love these kind of just mysteries.
yeah.
Yes.
But I was so confused. I was like, what exactly
Yeah.
happened? Like
It-
he's getting
yeah.
bugged, but he wants to get bugged.
Right.
Like
Yes.
like when I finally realized, I was like, oh
Yeah.
wait a minute, this is Like when he finally talked to Dedra in that call, I was like, that's when I was like, okay, I see what's happening.
Figured it out now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like that was basically just like exposition to fill in the gaps of what happened
Yeah.
in the year time frame.
And essentially what he was doing was he was essentially creating credibility for himself within the community in Gorman.
Yeah.
Essentially
Yes.
so that he
Yes.
could be an informant.
Yes.
Exactly.
And so what we see from Cyril during these scenes is that
CIA stuff right here,
yeah,
bro.
he is now not only has the rebellion in started double agents and stuff, but now the Empire is getting involved with double agents, and now
Yes.
Cyril is that guy.
Yeah.
Dedra is his handler, and he is now trying to get information from both sides.
Yeah. Which is an interesting use of words that you just used for him and his relationship with Dedra.
Handler. Yeah.
Yes.
Turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Dude, that scene was. Ooh. If that scene went like 5 minutes longer, I don't know if I'd been able to keep it together.
Some freaky
Yeah.
stuff went on in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
apartment, bro.
Exactly.
How long do I have? An hour. An hour.
Yeah, turn off the lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cyril again. What's y'all's vibe on how much? Okay, first of all, Dedra's like my favorite character. First of all, I love her.
She's pretty awesome. There's some interesting things that happened in this episode that for me are showing conflicting allegiances in my mind.
yeah.
Mm.
And then Cyril, even last season,
Yeah.
like for season 1, like he has grown on me a lot.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He's become a lot less of like this sniveling fool. That's
Yeah.
kind of how he felt like at the beginning of
Right.
a beginning
I
of
mean,
season
don't
one.
get- he's weird for sure, but
Yes.
like in all the good ways, I think.
Yeah, like and he's a very driven person.
Yeah.
Like he has like
he
these-
shows ambition, which you don't get from like weird people in movies and TV shows
Yeah.
often, right?
Mhm.
Like, but he has a goal in mind. He wants to be successful in life.
Yes.
Like that's his goal is to like make
Yeah.
his mom proud. Like that's the
when-
thing.
Essentially,
when,
yeah.
When Partagaz, I think is the name of the commander or whatever, when he says excellent work
Yes.
to him,
Yeah.
This is the
excellent work,
happiest day of my
Cyril.
life. Yeah.
And it's like to get that kind of affirmation from someone in the Empire
Yeah.
Yes.
who means something.
Yeah.
Like
And then his response to Dedra after the guy leaves
exactly.
is
Oh,
just
yeah.
phenomenal. He's just like, would it
Too
be
much to say?
okay that this is the greatest day of my life?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. No. Exactly.
She's like, I'm so glad to see you
Well,
happy.
if you and also like that morning of is when turn the lights out. Like that was the
it's a great day,
it's a
man.
great day,
You
man.
had a good day.
for sure. Yeah.
But anyways, I loved. Again, it was confusing at first, but everything with the Gorman front and those characters, with the exception of douchebag bringing the gun later, which
yeah.
we'll talk about, but everything except for that moment, like I loved it. Like the town hall meeting, loved
Yes.
it.
Mhm.
Like just seeing their culture, loved it. The
Yes.
world building they're doing,
Yes.
loved it.
This
like
is the random subterfuge that they have, like how they got a message to Cyril. You know, even
Yes.
then talking about that kind of stuff. I think there's an interesting framing they've been doing, and it's interesting that you use the term Hitler earlier in this episode because honestly, Gorman reminds me a lot of the French resistance during World War II. They even have a French-ish accent.
Dialect.
Yeah,
Like their
dialect.
dialect is very French. They're very like
Parisian
What- yes.
cafes in the city
yes,
center.
very much
Yeah,
so. Like
yeah.
even though they talk about like the Gorman outside of Gorman, the fact that they're like one of the big creators of like fashion,
Designer clothes.
yeah, all that kind of stuff, kind of points at a very like Paris French culture, and you're seeing a lot of these elements of like when I think of the French Resistance and the way they're beginning and theirs, and of course like the Empire being the Nazis who
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
in their occupation. So I'm seeing a lot of it's a very interesting thing happening there with the buildup of this society.
Yeah.
And where they're going, where like how this is playing out. I will say one thing that's interesting that I'm seeing is so a couple of the members of Gorman have a special like ornament that almost to me resembles the beginnings of the Rebel logo.
Mm.
It's not completely there yet, but it is like this circle with a little like cut in it, It's not 100% there yet, but to me, it almost feels like it's like a prototype type version of what the Rebel logo becomes.
Mm.
In my mind,
I haven't noticed that.
That's
the,
interesting.
The daughter wears it, and at one point, the fashion designer, the main
Yeah.
fashion designer, I don't remember his name, but
Well-
he was wearing something very similar to
Yeah.
it.
Islands or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
Well, apparently, like Gorman is pretty like pivotal in trade.
Yes.
In that's why the Empire has such a strong desire to set up there, and
Well, actually, I don't think that's the reason why they're there.
no, I don't think that's the reason
But-
why they. No,
yeah.
I don't think. But like it
That might be
kinda
the
leads
front-facing
to yeah,
reason.
yeah,
Yes.
because Gorman is such a pivotal face, like
Yes.
in the fashion industry or like in innovative.
Yes.
Well, they're there
movements
because
and
we don't know
things.
exactly,
Right.
but it's something to do with the webbing, right?
I mean,
That's what Krennic
is
said.
it the real thing? Like we don't like
Well, based on what okay,
the meeting.
I feel like in that meeting they were talking more about that is the importance to Gorman to the rest of the universe.
but there's
is-
something else.
But there's yes, because the stuff they
even the line Dedra is given by her superior.
Yes.
She's like
Cyril cannot
know what we're really up to. Yeah.
Yes.
like
Like
there's something going on there, but
Yes.
I honestly can't wrap my mind around it.
okay, so my theory on that is actually okay. So they're talking about
Is
this.
this one of your
building.
two theories?
No.
Okay, dang it.
So this building that they have there, and like they're pretending it's like some sort of like a clerical
Office
building,
building, yeah.
or something like that. And the rebels Gormans believe it is some sort of an armory.
Yeah.
I don't think it's either.
Okay.
I think it is something to cover up the fact that they are trying to mine down into Gorman to take out something, possibly kyber crystals,
Ooh.
Um,
to fuel the
to-
Death Star.
to fuel the Death Star.
Ah.
and that is why, because they even talk about in that meeting, they're talking about if what happens on Gorman, what we are going to do could make the planet structurally unsound.
Mm.
That's what they are talking about.
Interesting.
So, and like what you were saying about the webbing, I don't think that is it. I think it's just like
It's a front.
what they could
Yeah.
lose if Gorman falls because of what they are doing.
Interesting.
So
Dang,
that's
dude.
kind of my idea about where this is going. Now, I will say one of my theories is kind of connected to what you were saying about the Dedra stuff, where Cyril can't know about this. So one of my ideas, and it's a very far-fetched idea, it's the less far-fetched of the two, though, honestly.
All right.
So I think there's a possibility that at some point Cyril gets to a breaking point with Dedra, and the possibility, does he eventually take on the moniker of Fulcrum and become essentially like the central like informant for the rebellion, like
Oh.
and kind of takes over because so Fulcrum is a character played by who is there's a character named Callus who plays him in Rebels, and
Right.
there is Ahsoka also takes on the moniker of Fulcrum as well, but kind of almost based off of almost the Callus role more. So is that he gets to a point to where like he sees what's happening on Gorman, and it's more than he can deal with, and he feels like he's not being told the whole truth by Dedra, and what he's doing is no longer like the pathway that he wants to be on. And also that's kind of why I was bringing up like the whole fact that you use the word handler, like and I think it wasn't until like the conversation that Cyril has with like Dedra has with the mother that we're kind of like, oh, maybe she's like actually feeling something here.
Right.
Like, what if this is just all her controlling Cyril to have someone
Yeah.
to try to that she needs in a certain situation,
Right.
someone she knows she can control, she knows she can trust him to do what she wants him to
Yeah,
do.
and I think it's kind of interesting because I know Cyril's on this like information collecting mission kind of thing,
Yes.
right? Even when he attended Ryland's meeting, where the town was all like up in arms,
Yeah,
and
the
kinda
town
thing,
hall.
it did feel like Cyril was kind of taking it all in and wasn't necessarily like sticking to the side of the Empire. Like he was more on the fence. It felt like he was taking it all in as like this is like a community. This is like a unity. Like kind of like everyone's kind of here to help each other, kind of thing, right? Like he was.
You're saying he was
More of a
sympathetic. He was
yes.
being way more
Yeah,
sympathetic.
like
yes.
he may be on the verge of like some sort of a sympathetic nature, and maybe he takes on that role.
Which it may be, but that's also the exact character he needs to play in that moment.
Right. True.
I mean, it's
true,
very
yeah.
possible that's where it goes
But
to.
my question is like, how far did he allow himself to dabble?
Yeah,
in
like
both worlds.
Like
'Cause-
how well is he like really taken to like maybe he gives into the fancies of that world. Like he feels something because maybe he fakes something long enough that it almost becomes real.
A double agent isn't for like you can't be for everybody.
He's a
Like, you
double
can't.
agent.
Yeah.
Or you're saying he might become a double
Correct.
agent.
Yes. Yes. A double. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was curious about that too. Like, why is Cyril the guy that Dedra picked for this project? Like, is it just convenient for us as viewers to make it interesting?
I think so. She's someone that she knows she can manipulate.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is too.
it's pretty, wicked.
Is that why she's your favorite right now?
No, I just love her presence. She's my favorite
She's
because
a phenomenal presence. She has such hands-off wickedness. Like, it's weird.
every time she's in those meetings and she's listening to others, you could see her mind going.
Yes.
She's so intelligent and plays things at incredible angles.
Because even in those meetings that they're having in the Empire like rooms, like she's not saying a single thing. You're listening to everybody else, and you're still the camera's drawn to her, so therefore we are. But you're like, she's like taking this in and using it for something.
And like that's literally her entire role right now is to literally play like in the Empire. Literally, her role right now is to play as though she has taken a step down.
Right.
Like that's the entire thing that's supposed to be happening. That she's essentially been scolded and
taking a back seat. Yeah.
Yeah, she's just supposed to be just there. She isn't supposed to be this force that she really is in this moment. So it's very interesting that it's playing out like that.
Yeah, but Cyril's like, yeah, I've made contact, and I need to give them some information, and you need to keep it. You need to keep it going, like
Yes.
And so it ended up being the transport schedule.
Yes.
And he made it a point to tell them to keep everything going because they need some victories. Like they need to win so they can keep this.
I love how they did. Yeah, I mean, again, this is literally like how coups happen. Like
yes.
I feel like I'm watching like the CIA.
Yeah.
in some other country in the world.
No,
right here,
for sure. And the crazy thing is, like, I know we haven't gotten there yet, but like Andor, he comes to kind of survey and see what's going on, and he comes back and he's like, nah, man,
No, I don't want this.
I don't want this.
Yeah,
And
they're not ready. They're not there.
He picks up on everything because like he knows they're not ready, but yet they're about to pull off missions that they're not supposed to be ready for, and that's even a bigger sign in Andor's eyes. I think is like he's like they shouldn't have been able to do that, but I think the Empire is giving us wins. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think
found
it's
that
very much like he is, and I think it actually falls into a very important character point that that Andor isn't quite there yet at. So essentially, like at this point, we've seen Andor go from killing for himself, and then he got moved to killing for a cause, and his final step in his like journey. And that we've seen like finally play out in Rogue One is he willing to die for this cause?
Yeah.
And I think in this episode, we literally see his like apprehension about I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
But also like I resonate when he was talking to again. I think his name is Rylands, but when he's talking to him and he's like, "You guys, your grand plan is to just keep your business going right here and you want to draw attention to it."
Yeah.
Like He's like, this is just foolish.
Yeah, and then even later on when he's debriefing Luthen,
I don't blame him.
He's like, we all know it's true. Like everyone knows it's true, but they just want to get the proof to show everybody that
what they already know. Yeah,
and like he's like, that's not what I'm here for.
It's not worth our time.
It. Yeah, exactly.
What we don't understand, the three of us. I mean, maybe you guys do, but I feel like Luthen and Mothma try to. You pick up on this in the show. Luthen even says it, but Gorman must be incredibly important.
Correct.
Yes.
For whatever the Empire is doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly important on both sides because I think that's the entire point of like what it is it's a strategic point where like it's important for the Empire because it is it is a whatever resource is there, whether it be kyber crystals or something else.
Right.
It's very, very important to whatever the Empire is doing. And from the rebellion side, it's essentially like getting it's like getting the popular kid in high school behind your plan. It's like that's kind of how it feels. That's what Gorman is. They are the rich, powerful organization that is like because I think a lot of like how we think about the rebellion is these people that are in the shadows that are from these neglected places. But if it's this place that is that is
prominent,
that is prominent, that is rich, that is that is a place that people go to visit. It is a tourist destination. It is all these things that are pumped up by the Empire in a way of like this perfect. Like if you had to pick a planet to be perfect, Gorman would be the perfect planet,
right?
Like from the Empire's point of view. So it's like if you can turn them, then all of a sudden, like the eyes are opened by others.
Yeah, and I do find it convenient that the same time that Cyril goes to report to
This is amazing.
Coruscant,
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Andor is coming to
They're literally
Gorham.
switching places on the same weekend.
Yeah, they're
Exactly.
they're literally just ships passing.
And they're Cyril's the only person who can identify Andor because
whole planet.
and the whole entire planet because he's interacted with him.
Yeah,
and he's not even there to see
Nope.
what's
Not even
going on. Like it was just so crazy. But I also love like how Andor was able to embrace his character, like his like seeing him as a fashion designer, and like just his brief interaction with the bellhop.
Yes,
for a brief moment
that
where it
was-
was like, dude, it was so
when
so
they talk
awesome.
about like the that
Massacre.
yes,
yeah,
that
the
massacre.
Yep.
Where where Tarkin just lands his
Playing on civilians. Yeah.
yes.
And then he's just like, I'm just here because it's been a dream of mine to come to where fashion is launched. And then like even when he goes to meet Rylan, like
Yes.
the conversation starts off with like, oh, the fabrics and like
Yes.
all that kind of stuff, right? And then they go like, okay, cut the crap, like let's
Yes.
get down to business.
Yeah, no one's here.
No one's here.
Let's talk.
We sweep every day, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And even then, like he was like, this plan is like your plan's not good, man. Like
Yeah.
And then he leaves and heads back to Luthen. But I find it interesting, like every time Andor we've seen end a mission, Luthen picks him up personally. Like
Yeah.
it's interesting how Luthen
Luthen what does what?
picks him up personally. Like,
Oh yeah,
he came and got him, and like he got on the ship and
because he wants to debrief immediately.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Andor gave him the debrief. He didn't really like it, and then he had an ace up his sleeve, and he sent Vel and Cinta.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's the next step.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Yeah. So then we see Val on the steps.
I
Because,
mean, the whole preparation of
Yeah.
the hit they're gonna make.
Yes, which
play
started
that they're
with
gonna make.
Andor, right? Like
Yes.
they told him kind of like the Andor.
He was
Andor
like,
gave him
"This is a
tips."
stupid-
Andor gave him tips. He's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, you're gonna want to go ahead and apprehend the convoy and like that kind of stuff, right? And then Vel came, made contact, and they had a serious meeting where she's like, if you can't listen to everything we're saying, then we're out.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't listen to everything.
like literally there was no way
hmm
that that no one else was gonna bring a gun because she said it too many times.
Too many times, yeah. And so, like, she lays out the plan. We see the plan unfold, right?
It's going pretty
it's going
well.
pretty smooth until
Some random dude.
We saw the random dude who was in the
Who
town
was
hall
in the
meeting.
town hall
who
meeting,
was
yes.
very passionate, very
Yes.
like we need to do something, right? That kind of thing. And he tries to do something because he sees something happening.
Yeah, like he would have been happy to help.
Right, exactly.
That's the
exactly.
dumb thing
But
about
the
this
dude's
whole-
like, dude, get out of here, get out of here. And then he pulls the gun and tries to shoot him. And guess what? He shoots Cinta
Yes.
instead and immediate kill.
Which
Dude, he shoots better than the freaking stormtroopers, and he's not even looking at his target. Like,
it's crazy, and like unfortunately, like both of these arcs kind of end with useless young idiots killing a much better character.
yeah,
my opinion.
yeah, no, yeah.
With Willman knocking off,
Oh,
essentially
yeah.
knocking off Brasso, and this little sniveling piece of crying
Garbage,
little person who knocks off Cinta.
yeah, dude. And when they're leaving in their transport, and Val is like, "Are you crying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at me, look at me!" Like she says it twice, and he like can't.
Yeah.
like, dude, he can't do
Which
it.
this is Andor's point. These people aren't ready.
Right.
Yeah.
And
He was
she's
such
like,
he was such an
"You'll
arrogant
remember this.
dude.
You'll remember this for the rest of your life." And
Wear it on your skin.
Now, this is the same guy that got the spider into Cyril's
yes.
hands.
Yes,
It
but he
is.
was also in all the meetings. He was always like this, like He has just all this like braggadocio about him, and
That's why people got to know their role. It's like, Luke, you're
Yeah.
the good Spider-Man.
Which is what Vel tried to explain to them.
yeah,
Yeah.
Know your role.
yeah, it's true.
yeah,
Like you're the good Spider-Man, Spider guy, up to Spider-Man. I just realized that.
Yeah.
The guy that's selling spiders, like just do that. You know, do what you're good at. We will hold the blasters. No one else is bringing the blaster.
Correct.
You don't need a blaster. We have 6 minutes.
Nope.
We're gonna get as much of this as we can. We're not gonna have any. Like they had it mapped out so well. There's no threat to getting shot at. No one needs a blaster.
Right, correct. And dude, Vel kept it together, man. I thought she was gonna crumble because literally the night before, her and
They had their moment.
they had their moment.
Yep.
They finally had their moment.
which honestly, that was like I was like, oh, that's the nail in one of their coffins.
Yeah.
Like, I was
you
like,
can't be
that
happy.
is
You
one
can't
of
be
those-
happy in the rebellion.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they survived season 1, you know,
Yeah, that's already a lot. And then so they had their moment, but then like Vel shows us as the audience how important this is because she doesn't allow it to affect her and the cause that she's working for. And she even like makes it a point to tell him like you are not ready for this, you're dumb, you don't understand what's going on right now. You will wear this for the rest of your life because you don't clearly see. Cinta died because of your stupidity. Like that
Yeah.
and like
you'll
they
make
had-
up for this for the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I don't know, man. It was such a powerful scene. That scene where she's
Yeah. Where she
literally
just, like,
mowing
tearing
him
him
down.
apart.
Yeah. Ripping him apart. Yeah. Good scene, man.
Yes.
Gosh, man.
And okay, so kind of like my final theory, and this is the one that's like super
wait.
far out.
Can't wait.
When I was telling Justin, I was like, my first one with cereal is like a spicy take level. It's like jalapeno to habanero. It's like it has some spice to it, but it's not like crazy. And I was like, this last one is like ghost pepper. It's like a ghost pepper. The final theory is that we are seeing Princess Leia, and we have already seen her.
We've already seen her.
Yes,
So who do you think she is?
I think that there's a possibility that she is the daughter.
The Gorman chick.
Yes, like I like that she is there, and she is undercover as a part of this whole organization, and this is a possibility. And I think that's maybe part of the reason why we saw Bail Organa. And they're trying to remind you that the Organas exist, that Princess Leia exists. Not that you really need that as a reminder, but like, hey, like at this point, she's probably like, she's 16 to 18 at this moment. Last time we saw her, she was like maybe 10.
She's
And
probably 16 because Luke's 18 in New Hope.
Yes.
And so they're twins.
yes,
That
yes.
would be,
So it'll be right around there. And that girl could be right around that age. So like that, it's just like an
Interesting.
idea, and I think it would be an interesting way to introduce her and see her in another way without having to be like a sign over your head. This is Princess Leia. Like you don't know who she is. You're getting to know her as a character without actually knowing who she is.
That's very interesting. And the only thing that would lead me to believe that is, dude, her hair is so tight that I'm like,
Yeah.
you can only be Leia level
Yes.
with the hair that tight.
And honestly, like the features are not like that
That's
far
off.
off, yeah.
from Leia.
She did seem older than 16 years old though. So
It is a possibility. And like I said, this is like
way out there.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Interesting. I would love to like kind of bottle that for right now and like see where that goes.
Yeah.
Like, that's interesting.
And like I said, that's just something like I'm throwing
Yeah.
out there. Like
I like it, I like
that
it.
is
Okay, well then that is a ghost pepper theory.
Mm.
The only scene left in my mind to talk about is Golden's party.
Dude.
yes.
They were alluding to it.
Throughout the arc
Yes, correct.
or the block,
And the big concern is that he is going to get everything reappraised because there was a forgery and there's a listening device that Luthen had planted
Yes.
in one of his artwork and that he sold to him. And so the party happens and Krennic is there.
amazing.
But we also see Lonnie, who is an informant for the rebellion.
Which honestly, like I'm surprised how much Lonnie we got in this arc. I was like,
yeah,
what is?
I didn't
like,
know Lonnie was going to be a big key factor,
Yes.
but Lonnie's that dude.
or even Luthen's assistant. Like I was not expecting her to get as much
Clea?
play in
Yeah,
this.
yeah. So I think it's Clea, around there.
Clea,
yeah.
something like that.
But yeah, she's a pretty pivotal person in this.
Yeah.
And so she tells Lonnie, "You are to listen to everything I say, and just come over here, and so they go to a different artifact I found the most intriguing was the fact that while this is going on, and Clea and Lonnie are trying to get the listening device out so they don't get found out, Krennic and Mon Mothma are having this debate back and forth throughout every artifact that they look at, and it truly is a like a war of words.
Yes.
Like they are trying to move the needle.
Once again, it's niceties.
Yeah.
Everything's done in niceties, but like digging. It's everything that Mon Mothma does.
Yeah, which I think Krennic's the one that says the party line. That's the title of the episode. I'm pretty sure. Like when he says like it's a fancy whatever party.
Wonderful evening.
Yeah, what a wonderful evening.
Like
after Mon comes in and like headstrong immediately after introduce like hey, nice to see you. You did this X, Y, and Z. Like why?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? That kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so like that was a nice little chess match, and then the removal of the listening
And
device.
the tension of that was really cool, and like it was also interesting. It was an interesting like foil to what happened on Gorman, because in this moment you have the trained operative, and like you have Vel and Senta,
Right.
who are trained operatives, and then you have his assistant Clea, as the trained operative, telling the other person
Untrained.
do everything. The untrained operative
To
in
listen
this
to what you're
moment,
saying, yeah.
do everything I say, and it will work out. Well, what do you see? Like one of the groups decides to listen, and it works out.
Yeah.
And the other side decides not to listen, and it doesn't work out as well. So it's an interesting like foil to those two situations that we have.
And we saw the struggle that Clea and Lonnie were having, but the rest of that party was like, oh yeah, they're just observing the
Yeah, it
art.
was her favorite art piece.
they're-
That's
yeah.
why she's there.
They're
yeah.
flirting. They're just
Right? Yeah. What?
Yeah,
Could
which
be anything.
I don't know. I don't know which team Lonnie's batting for, but I don't know if they believe that 100%. At least one of them didn't believe that. So-
Right.
well, I mean, he has a wife.
Does he?
Yeah,
Okay.
he has a wife and kids.
You
Interesting.
talking about the buy me lunch? comment?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that buy me lunch. Yeah, I don't know. And then the drinks later after that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the other guy, I don't know what
Yeah.
team he's playing for, but Lonnie has a.
But I thought
has
that
a
was
wife
I
and
thought that was going to be a deterrent. Like, that's not really it because I know like I have my in. That's what I think.
Well, I like how they did the moment where Lonnie actually references the things she was telling him.
Yes.
Yes.
No. That's what I was getting at. That was
Legitimize that?
Yes, to legitimize that because when Krennic shows up to that art piece. He references like, oh, I know this is your favorite one. Like, why is it your favorite one? And then she looks over at him, and there's that brief pause of like, this is where you regurgitate everything I was telling you.
Yep.
Because it validates why we were standing here.
Yes.
And then Lonnie, he actually
because
pulls
of
it
course,
off.
because of course she would know why it was where it was from because she was a part of Luthen's
Correct. Yes.
group when they brought that in. So, but him actually knowing means something.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Such an intense scene.
it's super stressful.
Yes.
Her hand was down there for like so long.
Dude, 10 minutes for sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then the icing on top for me was Luthen always like glancing over there and his stare of like,
Yes.
come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I can only like keep this going for so long.
He said
Like,
later that his face was hurting from smiling
yes,
so much.
Yes.
correct. Yes.
I don't think that's the first time he said that either. I think he said it during season 1 or once or twice.
I'm
you're
sure
right.
he did, yeah.
And also, I love that Luthen and Clea, they're having a lot of tension in this block.
She has a lot. She's getting a lot of autonomy in this. Like in this arc was very like, yeah.
But I love how they're walking away and he's like, we should have just killed Krennic while we were up there. Like, I just love that line. Like,
Yes.
like,
No.
And they like have a nice laugh as they're leaving, and it's like it's funny to think about. Like, like
Could have.
Krennic was
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
A
And-
senior official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mission accomplished for them.
A dude who's literally met the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's not a not something that every person can say.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think it's all the storylines, man.
I think so.
I'm looking forward to the next block, man. I
Yeah.
don't want to like get too much into like to speculating and all that kind of stuff. Like I just want to kind of ride this
it's
out.
almost impossible because
Yeah.
a year passes.
Right,
Yes.
correct, yeah.
So we don't know.
I mean, I can literally
You
say
could have
like
never predicted block to block in season 1, right?
No.
You would have never had any
Never,
idea.
Yeah.
ever. So I'm just riding this wave, dude. Let's
Yep,
go,
let's
baby.
do it.
Let's freaking go.
That's all we're doing. So big shout out to everybody who listened, tuned in. Want to thank you and remind you to share this podcast with your friends. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. And be sure to come back next week where we will be reviewing episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Andor Season 2. With all that in mind, from my good friends Sandy and Shamato, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.